Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and FYI, I am traveling at the moment, which is why if there's some bomb-dropping cybersecurity news everybody's talking about, and I'm not, that's why. But I wanted to make sure the show kept going on as I was traveling for a slightly extended period of time. And with that, let's get going, because in Elon Musk news, Elon Musk is making democracies less secure. Now, hear me out here, and I know I'm going to get flack for this video/podcast, but I think it's important, not to mention the radio segment as well that I'm going to do on this. Now, Natasha Lomas by TechCrunch had an excellent write-up on this, and I'm cribbing in part from her and also from NBC as well. Now, X, formerly known as Twitter, but we all just still know it as Twitter, appears to have removed an option that allows users in basically a handful of countries to directly report misleading information specifically about politics, meaning the disinformation is going to go through the roof, and we're going to get to why on top of just now on not being really able to report it. Now, here's what's happening. An Australian, and it's not just in Australia, but an Australian digital research group called Reset Australia spotted the change and posted an open letter via The Guardian addressed to X's country manager, in which they wrote, and I quote, "A recent change to your reporting process appears to have left Australian users unable to report electoral misinformation. This is because the categories for reporting in Australia offer no option to report electoral misinformation. Users are offered inappropriate categories such as hate speech, abuse, spam, imitation, etc. Previously, Australian users could select 'It's misleading about politics' as a category. This may leave volatile content subject to an inappropriate review process and not labeled or removed in compliance with your policies," end quote. Meaning, Twitter, aka X, aka whatever it'll be called next week, aka as for as long as it lasts, basically has reporting features. They just remove the political option and the "it's misleading in politics" option, and here we are. So by virtue of that, if you are essentially submitting something that is clear disinformation to them, they're not accurately seeing it. Now, the group warned that X, or basically warns X, that the change could breach Australia's misinformation code, which it notes requires signatories to enable users to, quote, report content or behaviors to signatories that violate their policies through publicly available and accessible reporting tools, end quote. And to continue, because quite frankly, they're not happy about this, and I quote again, "X's civic integrity policy makes it clear that electoral misinformation is against your policies. Users should be able to report this content appropriately." And I think that is 100% correct. Now, the letter also points out that the timing of this change comes ahead of a major vote in Australia, dubbing it, quote, "extremely concerning that Australians would lose the ability to report serious misinformation weeks away from a major referendum," end quote. Now, TechCrunch has also confirmed in their own tests that the option on X to directly report election misinformation no longer appears for users with IP addresses located in the United States, Australia, Brazil, or Spain, which were some of the earliest markets to get the ability to report political misinformation. And why was that? Because political misinformation, disinformation was rampant for all of those countries. Instead, users who click the report post option in the dropdown basically attached to each post, aka tweet, are presented with the options essentially that are anything but politics. So the reasons that they've got are hate, abuse and harassment, violent speech, child safety, privacy, spam, suicide or self-harm, sensitive or disturbing media, deceptive identities, violent and hateful entities. And that is the list. And all of those, I think, are important to report as well. Now, the closest option to misleading information to make the report is deceptive identities. But that option specifically is focused on account impersonation, including of brands, so it looks pretty ill-suited to basically be reporting misinformation of the political type. This, on top of that, basically Twitter/X has been cutting down their staff for political disinformation and their safety responsibility teams for months. But in the last week, NBC had a report that stated, and I quote NBC directly, "X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, has slashed the number of people on its disinformation and election integrity team just weeks after it said it was hiring for new positions to help guard against foreign interference. The person familiar with the cuts said 4 people had been let go. The entirety of X's election integrity unit in the Dublin office. It's unclear how many people remain on the team. In other words, we are walking into contentious elections across the planet, not just the United States, Australia, everywhere else. And by virtue of that, the disinformation is going to be through the roof. We already have people essentially believing demonstrably false information. Not to mention, Elon Musk himself has posted conspiracy theories that have been proven debunked. The perfect example off the top of my head of that is the Paul Pelosi hammer attack, where he posted essentially an article to like his 100 million followers or however many he has, basically hashing conspiracy theories that Paul Pelosi and his attacker were like gay lovers or something like that. So this is, I think, a huge problem. Not to mention, I've just anecdotally seen my feed turn decidedly to more extremist politics. I'm now seeing in that like curated feed that they're supposed to give you a lot more people I've never heard of yelling very angrily about a lot of things. And while I'm always reading on politics and technology and cybersecurity and all of these things, it has taken just a decidedly more dark tone on Twitter right now, and I think this is going to continue to happen. And it seems like, the antagonist in chief here, Elon Musk, is really just dropping a supercharger into this. And so I think that he's harming democracies. Democracies really rely on good, honest reporting. It really relies on education of the voters. It really relies on understanding misinformation and disinformation from actual fact. And we have so many people off the beaten path drinking essentially the Kool-Aid of misinformation or disinformation that it's hard to see a way to come back. This doesn't help. And so I think this is going to be a huge problem that we're going to see. I don't know necessarily how to fix it beyond staying off Twitter, but as people that are not extremists or conspiracy theorists leave Twitter, it basically is like, like all of that slough just, leaving the coal as it forms into a perfect diamond of anger and hate. And I think that's where we're heading. So I'm not a fan of this. We'll see where we go. I'm pretty sure by virtue of this video, simply the title, I'm probably going to get a lot of Elon Musk fanboys just giving me a lot of heck, but honestly, it's worth it. So here we are. I just have to speak the truth, and this is literally what it is. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter /X, unfortunately. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. And please educate yourself. Educate yourself, educate yourself. Don't fall for the lies. Take care.